Patrick Kane is a Detroit Red Wing. I'm going to break this down, how he fits, and more on this episode of Hat Trick HQ. But before I start, I just wanted to say to the 83% of you guys that aren't subscribed, if you're enjoying this daily NHL and Leafs content, make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button. We'll be here all season long, but I'll hop straight into the first topic, which is Patrick Kane is a Detroit Red Wing. Now, this came after reports did come out from Chris Johnson saying, breaking news, Patrick Kane has decided to join the Detroit Red Wings as he returns to the NHL following his hip surgery. So this is massive news just to start with. Patrick Kane, one of a household name that everyone around the league and all fans know, it signs with the Detroit Red Wings. Patrick Kane, a three-time Cup winner, a Hart winner. There's a long list of awards on the right side if you wanted to pause and have a quick little look. This is a guy that's been in the league since 2007. He's had career highs of 110 points, 106 points, 46 goals. This is a guy that knows how to put up points and knows how to be a Cup winner, which is the biggest thing here. So Patrick Kane did end up signing with the Detroit Red Wings, and this is a bit of a win for Detroit because there's so many teams in on this. We've seen reports that Florida, Boston, Toronto, there's so many teams, the Dallas Stars even, were all in on this Patrick Kane sweepstake, and Detroit came out victorious with this by signing him. Now, I think this is a massive ad for Detroit, and this is where I'm just going to kind of get into how this ad is and where does he fit. So when you do look at Detroit's lines, the lines have been outstanding. Currently, they're fourth in the East, third in the Atlantic. The lines have been gelling. You have a guy like Villano, Raymond, Larkin, DeBrincat, Comfer, Rasmussen, Perron, Kopp, Fabry. There's so many guys in this lineup that have been high impact, and you don't want to break too many of these lines up. But where does Patrick Kane fit within these lines? Now, a lot of reports did come up that Kane ultimately did sign with Detroit because he wanted to play with his former teammate Alex DeBrincat, who you can see right now is on the left wing on the second line. So where I think Kane would fit best, and where a lot of reports are showing, is in on this second line, with DeBrincat. When you look at DeBrincat's stats, there were a couple seasons where he put up 41 goals. During these seasons, Patrick Kane, during one of DeBrincat's 41 goal seasons, had 22 primary assists and 2 secondary assists. So when you look at this, this is 24 assists on DeBrincat's 41 goals. As I said, he's done this twice, both times with Chicago and both times playing with Kane. So getting back Patrick Kane to play with a guy like DeBrincat is a massive ad, not just for DeBrincat, not for Patrick Kane, but for Detroit. As I said, the two most successful years you've seen DeBrincat have and almost have seen Kane have were when playing with each other. So if you do slot him back into the second line, you can hopefully reignite this fire, get DeBrincat back to his 41 goal season, and ultimately push Detroit to one of these top teams in the league. As I said, right now they're fourth in the East, third in the Atlantic. Adding Kane, I think, pushes them over the top, and ultimately they're going to be a team that's going to look to contend. Now, where else does Kane really fit on this team? And that brings me to the power play. Now, you can see the power play if you wanted to pause and have a quick look at this. I think Kane's going to be the guy you can either fit in the top unit, the second unit. Either unit, I think Kane will fit in. If you wanted to keep him and DeBrincat together, maybe you can slide a guy like Fabry out. Dylan Sprong. You can kind of take your choice here. But ultimately, I think you just need to get him in on this line with DeBrincat. Get him back to his 41 goal season. Get Kane back to where he should be. I know last season a lot of fans are down after seeing him go to the Rangers and being more of a shell of himself. We did see him have a double hip surgery, which is a bit frightening, but at least the surgery has helped him get back to where he should be. We've seen countless videos of him training on the ice since the surgery, and just knowing that he was a shell of himself, having the surgery should help him get back to where he was. Like I said, this is going to be massive for Detroit. You can slide him back onto this line. You can slide him anywhere. And I think this is going to be the game changer for Detroit. Now, the big thing you kind of look at this too is, sorry about that, how does this affect the cap? So when you kind of look at the cap here, Detroit has about $5 million in cap space. This is with their 22-man roster size, 46 contracts, so on and so on. Now, the big thing with this is we don't know Kane's contract yet. This might be a 1-year deal, a 2, a 3. I know a lot of fans, especially Detroit fans, are probably hoping for a 1-year deal. But as you can see with the picture, they do have $5 million in cap. I can't see Kane wanting more than 2, 2.5. Depending on how long it is, it might be a 1-year deal at maybe 2, 2.5, 2-year deal at $2 million per year. Ultimately, If he does come on a 2-year deal, he starts to look like him, the Rangers version of himself, where he looks like a shell of himself. You do have the LTIR. You can slide him onto this if an injury does occur. Now, when you do look at this, Detroit is in a good spot. You don't have a lot of notable free agents, minus a couple of guys like David Perron, which you can end up bringing back. You have a couple of guys there towards the bottom as well, Daniel Sprong, a couple defensemen, Shane Gossphere, so on. With this is showing everyone without the retained on Verana's $2.625 million, and the buyout of Abdicator, which is $1 million, and Yamamoto, which is $430,000. Now, as I said, if this is a 1-year deal, this looks like a massive win for Detroit. This is where you can bring him in, reevaluate him at the end of the season, hope to make this big push to maybe make the Eastern Conference Finals, maybe the Finals, and ultimately, which every fan of Detroit wants, is to win the Stanley Cup. As I said, when you do kind of look at Kane, he is a 3-time Cup winner. He knows what it takes to win in this league. So, the question here is this a good deal if it's a 2 or 3-year deal? In my opinion, no. You would want him on maybe a 1-2-year max. If you're kind of looking at the 2 to 3 year range, you kind of get into the shaky situation of what do you do in year 2 or 3 if this double hip surgery starts to nag on him. We've seen Nicholas Backstrom recently just take a leave from the Washington Capitals due to this injury. So seeing him come and have to leave after, this double hip surgery, if Kane does come in on this 2 or 3 year deal, and this starts to affect them, you might be in the same situation as Washington. But ultimately, as I said, you have Patty Kane. You win the sweepstake. You get him back. DeBrincat had his best years with him. Kane had some of his best years with DeBrincat. Reuniting these two on a team that's already, like I said, one of the top teams in the East, one of the top teams in the Atlantic, and looking like a powerhouse in general with the young talent, the veterans of David Perron that they added. I think adding Kane just helps boost this team, bolsters them to make this playoff push. And ultimately, like I said, this is a team that went from a non-playoff team last year to a borderline contender coming into the offseason, to a team that seems like they are really in the mix for winning the division. They could maybe be a President's Trophy team. Now I think this is more going to be towards a Vegas, Boston, those type teams. But seeing them make this massive leap from a non-playoff team straight into a playoff team and possibly a contender depending on how the season continues to progress, this is a massive win for Detroit fans. Now, what's your thoughts on this? Do you think Kane should come in on a 1-year deal, 2-year deals? Do you want to do the 3-year deal just to drop his cap hit and deal with this 2 or 3 years down the road if things aren't working out? Or what's your thoughts? Where do you think he would fit on the second line, the third line? Do you think he's a first line guy? Let me know down in the comments. But talking about comments, we'll hop into everyone's favorite topic of the day, which is comment of the day. Comment of the day today comes from Taylor, who says, "Woo, feel the thrill." This was from one of the videos where I said that Patrick Kane was linked to the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I said a possible options team might look at other than Kane was Phil, who's not currently signed. So with Kane's name of the option, is Phil the next veteran that we're going to see a lot of teams kind of circle on, have a look at, and ultimately, where does Phil Kessel end up? Because we already know where Patrick Kane ended up, and that is Detroit. So like I said, let me know in the comments. Do you think that Patrick Kane is going to be a perfect fit on Detroit? Do you think this is a situation where maybe they should have waited a little bit and see how this injury looks? Other than that, if you have any questions or comments, make sure to go down and leave in the description. While you're down there, make sure to leave a like, comment. Like I said, we'll be here all season long, but take care.